hopefully we're not dropping frames like crazy this week. So yeah. It says we're live, so hello, welcome internet to our pre-show. How are you? Are you good? Are you well?
You're well.
We hope you are well, listeners and watchers in the land of internet.
You do good.
Because
you
when
aren't
you are well,
do good.
we are well. And when we are well,
you are
you
well.
are well. Well, well, well.
Well, well, well.
You guys done?
No.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so unfortunately, with the outputs, for Jemmora, part 1, there was some problem with it where it just, I don't know if the file got corrupted or whatever, it just won't play.
Oh no.
So bad news is, yes, part 1 standard def. Good news is parts 2 and 3 1080p.
Okay. So I'd be fine with 720. That's fine. It's just, I was like,
yeah,
360. Jeez. It's 1987. I'm watching Cheers.
It's not that bad. You know, it could be late 90s still.
Could it be? I don't know.
It's also, if you're watching it on mobile, what I tend to turn videos down to if I'm not on a Wi-Fi network.
Oh, I've got a zillion gigs on.
Oh, I mean, I have unlimited data. It's just I would actually like to be able to watch the video.
Oh, yeah, I guess it depends.
So, like for Critical Role, I often have to turn it down to mobile quality because I just can't.
Oh.
Like when I watch the VOD the next day or something, or the rebroadcast the next day. But all the audio sounds really good, and I was actually listening to some of the audio file to upload for the podcast, and so number 1, audio is good quality. Number 2, we avoid the issue that I have with many podcasts in that everybody has a very distinct voice.
Hey, there we go.
So there should not be an issue of confusing who is who.
Yeah.
At least it'll be like, oh, okay, that's that person, that's this other person. Like, we all sound as if we are distinct people, which is a problem that I do have when getting started with some podcasts. I'm like, oh, all these people sound the same or sound very close to each other.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? Okay, that makes
sense. They sound very similar.
You mean getting 5 guys together, and then all playing video games or all playing D&D together? You can't tell who's who with just the voice?
I mean, there were times when I even had trouble when I first got into Critical Role telling the difference between Percy and Vax.
Really?
For a little bit. It got way better.
Maybe it's because I always watched the video. I've never listened to sound.
Yeah, because I started with podcast and then watched the video after. But and it just because Grog, very distinct.
Yeah.
Scanlan, very distinct.
Oh yeah.
Vex and Keyleth, very distinct from each other. Pike, usually not there, so not a problem.
Or when she was very she was quiet enough, like her voice is very different.
Yeah. So but we don't have that problem, so that's cool. And even with the standard def, easily most viewed video on my YouTube channel.
What's that?
Episode part 1 has the most views out of all the other videos on my YouTube channel.
How many views?
It is sitting at 18 right now.
Hey!
Woo!
Not a whole lot, but you know what? It's 18 more than we usually get.
That's double digits, dude.
It is double digits, yeah.
Like, I'm all about that.
Yeah. And I actually came up with a really interesting thing is
he found something interesting.
So videos and podcasts get rolled out weekly. So, if people want to start watching, or if people, miss an episode and they want to get caught back up or whatever, it may be a problem for them to then get caught up enough to watch the next episode. You know, I mean, that's what we decided to do. However, if they decide to become a $2 patron of 8-Bit Adventures, they will have access to all 3 parts when they're uploaded.
Oh, nice.
Monetizing it. Monetizing
Yes.
that addiction and that need to see it all at once.
I need it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, if everything I watched wasn't already on YouTube in total, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so
just
I
because
figured, you know,
I watch stuff that's years old.
it's also a nice little perk for $2 patrons.
Oh yeah.
So
I watch a lot of meme videos.
yeah.
Trying to stay relevant for what your students are going to teach you.
What I teach them.
About memes?
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of like Sea of Thieves playthroughs, and people do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Which I presume they're doing because there's not a whole lot left to do in that game. So things like pretending that they're the cops.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And like sailing around, but like sailing around and somebody like has a light that changes from red to blue or whatever, and then flashing it so that they create police, like, and then somebody like shouting into a megaphone going wee you, so that they have an actual like cop ship, and they basically go looking for contraband.
Cop boat.
They and you know, asking people if they have a certain item that they designate as contraband.
So they're game wardens.
Pretty much. But they go around and they're like, yeah, do you have any like cursed cannonballs? No, okay, go about your day, sir. Go about your day. One time they planted a cursed cannonball and they were like, oh, we found this on there, and the guy's like, oh no, I guess you'll have to arrest me then. You like let them arrest him and everything. They just like they captured him and took him back on their boat. They locked him in the brig. He was just like, this is the punishment I get. I'm so sorry. And it's like,
hey, at least he had.
He didn't know that they planted it on his ship, and he just went along with it. He's just like, I don't know.
I don't even know
weird,
anymore.
Weird stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been watching some Here's the Storms videos just to try to get better.
Is it working yet?
It's hard to tell in quick match because you're at the whim of the composition that Blizzard decides you get.
Yeah.
When you random queue. What did I have today? It was like I don't know. It was 3 specialists, a healer. I think it was 4 specialists. I don't know, but we couldn't do anything. Versus like a Genji and like a carry, like heroes that could just dive on us and destroy us in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. Where
we couldn't do anything, like no mobility, and it was just like, that's
it's tough.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just start playing ranked matches, but I hate drafting. I don't like drafting.
I don't either. Yeah. I don't.
It's probably because I don't know the matchups that well. Like I don't know who I should draft when. Like, okay, they pick these guys. Who should I pick now? Depending on what we already have, what do we need?
Well, and the problem is, it's just
and I don't want to get forced into playing a role or character I'm weak at just because the team needs that character.
Yeah.
For whatever.
Well, I've also heard though that like it's far more useful, like even if it's not like a counter pick or whatever, to pick something that you're strong with as opposed to fulfilling a role that's needed.
Yeah. I mean, if your last pick and the team hasn't picked a healer yet, I don't know. I mean, you're
full
dive into it. Yeah.
Full dive.
I don't know. And I don't know. I haven't watched enough.
Or it's up. Or full poke.
Streamers of professional games to know like what's the meta nowadays. Like I don't know what.
Team Stratus, like. Full poke, never engage.
Okay, so Hanzo, Li Ming,
Hammer, Asmodan.
Oh, Hammer will get destroyed in a second because you got a siege to do anything worthwhile.
That is true.
Yeah, somebody's just gonna dive you and you're gonna die in a second. Jaina's range isn't that great. Only her Q. That's her moves. You got to get close.
Raynor.
As far as auto attackers, sure.
Raynor and Vala.
Volley, you got to be pretty close.
What? No.
Yeah, to do your auto attack damage, yes, you got to be close. Your abilities don't do jack.
Yeah, but you can vault away.
Auto attacker. I guess.
Yeah.
And if you take the stun, I guess.
Yeah.
Safer. But again, that's still you're usually dependent on a tank to come peel for you if you're in that bad of a situation. If you're having to vault and use your ult just to stay safe, you're hoping a tank comes and intervenes at some point.
Did you say Nazebo? If we're doing a full poke? Because if you're doing a full poke team,
frogs and wind.
That is spiders, frogs, auto attacks. If you take Thing of the Deep, then you have big range on auto attacks and stuff.
Stupid time dragon gnome.
Chromie. Tracer,
but if you get caught, you're done. If you get caught without a
well,
blink.
by definition, any members of a poke team, if you get caught, you're done.
Yeah, but again, Tracer, you have to be super close to do your abilities, and you're dependent on your Q and your E to escape.
Right, but that's the entire build of her.
Again, you're still dependent on there's a team. But
anytime you're going to do a gimmick team, you are dependent on the rest of your team.
Exactly. Well,
that's
team game, right?
I mean, that's our full support team. It's relying on picking the right support so that you're not just, not completely hosed for damage.
I mean, yeah, you could go full tank, but then
that's why we picked what was it? I think for that one I picked Tyrande. Maybe. I can't remember if I picked Tyrande or Stukov for that one. I don't remember if Stukov was out at that point. No, I was Karazim.
Oh, I like Kara.
It was Karazim. Sean was Rhaegar. You were playing. Oh God, what
Uther.
Were you playing? You were playing Uther.
I was playing Uther.
And then I think were we playing with one of Sean's friends or something?
Probably.
And he played Morales.
Annoying.
And then we had that poor Lunara as our rando fifth player.
But you know what? Lunara can pump out so much damage as a carry that whatever. And Uther can kind of tank.
Yeah, so. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to pick the right support. I mean, if we picked Morales, Tyrande, Tassadar.
If they want to dive, I'm just going to AoE stun their whole team.
Yeah. Yeah, AoE stun into, what was it, 7,000 kicks or whatever. With Bloodlust.
Well, that's also the thing, too. I guess you have to think that Karazim can actually dish out a lot of damage.
Yeah, from what I understand now, he is more of a damage dealer than he is a support character at this point.
I play him as more of a damage dealer than a support.
Since his actual support abilities got nerfed.
And they're not good. He doesn't have great abilities to make them better, in my opinion.
It was mostly that his main heal was nerfed, if I recall.
I get it, because you could abuse the crap out of it because it hits everybody near you.
Yeah.
So.
And then when you take the talent, like, it goes off twice, kind of a thing.
I mean, I guess his one ult where you heal somebody to full or something or whatever it is.
Yeah, that one's tricky, though.
Prevent someone from dying. I never picked that. I always pick 7-side kick. That's the correct choice.
Well, especially if you're playing against a team with high health percentage, because it deals a percentage of health.
Is that how it works?
Yes. Yeah.
It deals a percentage.
Each hit deals 7 hits, Courtney, and each hit deals a percentage of health.
And then,
but it targets.
You can make it hit more.
But it targets random characters in the area. It doesn't. It targets random enemies. It doesn't target one specific one.
The play is to hopefully single somebody out and catch somebody out of position and and bust it.
You catch like a Cho'Gall or a Diablo or something.
Yeah.
And because when Cho'Gall first came out, is Josh Carty and I were taking. It was Karazim. It was characters like Karazim, Raynor, Tychus. All the big giant killer characters at the time.
Yep.
Just to wreck phases.
I used to like playing Tychus a lot.
Yeah.
But they changed him up a bit. He's still fun. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I used to always pick Odin because it used to be a second health pool.
Yep.
And then they made it so that was no more.
Yeah.
And I just like the Odin because I like to imagine it's that one mission in StarCraft where Tychus steals the ode and he
Yeah.
pretends he can't hear Raynor trying to tell him to stop. Jimmy, you're breaking up, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I've never played that game, but my buddy told me about that mission. I was like, oh, I just want to play that one mission because that seems hilarious.
Absolutely.
I never into StarCraft. I always, one of those games, I thought the lore and story were really cool and interesting, but I'm not really big into RTSs anymore. So just never played it.
Time to boost my APMs.
Oh, ABC, always be clicking. Always be clicking. If you ever watched my mouse on when I'm playing Heroes of the Storm, I'm just
I can hear it.
Yeah, just making infinity signs basically with my mouse clicking.
Yeah. So, all right. How about we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm gonna how do I do this? Gonna mute that. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up on episode 116, Mike Morhaime steps down. Google Plus shuts down. What is game streaming? And much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you all of the latest and greatest, or saddest, geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and my co-host, as always, my two wonderful co-hosts, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
And Josh York.
Nani?
I always love hearing whatever you come up with.
So, yes, we are back this week with another episode. We are post our first podcast episode after our inaugural episode of Tales of Jemmora.
Yes.
Which had a wonderful, wonderful fanfare. So thank you to all of our viewers and podcast listeners that joined the stream to jump in chat for that. As you can tell, my voice is still not quite recovered from that. I might also be getting a little sick.
No.
Just some kind of like possibly allergies, possibly like minor cold kind of a thing.
There is something going around.
Yeah.
Because it's blown to all the kids at school, so it's definitely out there.
I was gonna say it gets to the schools and then it comes out from there.
Yeah. But it's not even like that I'm really like tired or coughing or anything. It's just my voice sounds just extra gravelly, possibly not fun to listen to. So I apologize for podcast listeners.
It's better. It has more character.
More character? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
It sounds like kind of gonna do a little ASMR right here.
Oh my God.
Some whisper.
Yeah.
But none of that as
brush next to the microphone.
Yeah. We some big news this week. So I mean, first off, Google Plus. So there was Google says that there was
is this big news? Because I don't know anybody who uses this.
Well, I think it's big in that it's getting. So Google's claiming that they prevented a data breach, and that they noticed there was a vulnerability that could have caused a breach to occur, and they patched it. They didn't tell anybody. They're telling people now, like after the fact. But then potentially as a way to like save face, they're like, oh, and you know what? To make sure that nobody's data is compromised, we're just shutting down Google Plus for everybody but like enterprise users. You know, and everybody else on the internet's just like, okay, so you admit that you failed at what you're going to do with Google Plus. Good job, Google. Good job.
I mean, God,
I will say the one
talk about Google Plus in years.
Yeah, the one thing that I used Google Plus for was so for Hit Film, which is what I was using to do some video editing for Tales of Jemmora. It's like some really powerful like free software, video editing software. But what you have to do is you have to share it on a social media platform in order to download it. So in order to share it to a community of people that didn't care if they saw the post or not, I shared it to Google Plus, and therefore like it just went out into the void.
They still
and I didn't have to
accepted
bother
Google
anybody.
Plus as a form of social media. Oh, that's so cute.
They did. There are plenty of things that still do, actually.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me when they actually still consider that.
But yeah, so ding dong, the Plus is dead. And
I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't wicked, but it was
no. And again, this is only big news because everybody. It's ironically big news because everybody's kind of like, that's still a thing. It's still going.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It outlived its usefulness, and therefore it is finally now being put out to pasture.
Yeah, by like 20 minutes after it came out is when it was done with its usefulness.
I remember I was actually at a Warcraft guild meetup when all of the beta invites went out. And at the time it was you had to get a beta invite from Google, and then you could start inviting your friends to the beta. So it was basically everybody was like inviting everybody else and adding people to our circles, and we made like a guild circle kind of a thing. And then pretty much after that weekend, it outlived its usefulness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the ironic big news. For certainly for Josh and myself, Mike Morhaime stepping down as CEO of Blizzard is pretty
Not that big a deal to me, honestly.
No?
No. It was I think the other guy who left last year, what's his
Metzen.
name? Yeah, he was bigger influence on WoW, in my opinion.
I mean, Morheime's been with the company 27 years.
Yeah, but I feel like I felt Metzen's influence way more in the game and the community. He just seemed to be more of a face and more like involved, and particularly his art and all that. Is super like the basis for most of that game.
Yeah, it's just so Morhaime was one of the original founders.
I mean, yeah. As soon as you said 27 years, I kind of figured.
Yes. Yeah. And so he's stepping down as CEO. He will be available with the company as a consultant on kind of like a part-time basis, freelancer type basis.
Man. That's the play. Consulting jobs.
That's completely the play.
It's consulting.
That.
It's retiring and then consulting for the company that you used to work for.
Zero responsibility, and you just get money.
So,
like, hey, here's an idea.
To give advice if it's needed, kind of a thing, to help guide the company if it needs advice. But that you're not beholden to anything with it. So wish him the best. Hope he enjoys his retirement. I don't remember the individual's name, but it's one of the current lead people over at World of Warcraft will be stepping up as the new president. And I guess this person's been with the company for like 15 years. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There are a lot of people spelling doom and gloom for Blizzard because of this. I think it's unfounded. They think like the company culture is going to change, that Activision's going to swoop in and change everything. I think those people overestimate how much influence Activision actually has on Blizzard. I think it's mainly just like Activision may set like, hey, these are your goals. Make your goals. Oh, you made your goals? Okay. All right. Continue making your goals.
Here comes the problem when they start not making goals.
Yeah.
And you're going to get an EA situation.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I just was reading that EA looks like EA is going to buy Obsidian.
Really? Because I actually saw an article that said Microsoft was going to buy Obsidian.
Oh, you're right. Wrong. I got it mixed up. Microsoft. You're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct.
I actually forgot to write that down in the show notes. Yes.
I got evil overlord corporations mixed up with each other.
Actually, that was so.
Wait, you got your Umbrella Corps confused?
Oh, I'd never confuse anybody with Umbrella.
So basically, so we'll. I don't know when I don't know if Morheime's departure is effective immediately or if they're going to wait until after BlizzCon or something. But yeah. So
dude's 50 years old, man. He's got millions of dollars, I'm sure. You get to an age where like, I've got money.
When
and
you are
I don't
in
need to do
game
anything.
development for 27 years,
Yeah, exactly.
You've earned your
Like,
break.
First of all, game development is hell, considering all the deadlines and
Yes.
like hours you're putting in. Also, being a CEO, the amount of burden and responsibility you have to carry, even though it's not maybe as a physically intensive job or it's not the same as the lower level people, you still have to carry all of that in your head and on your shoulders. And in the end, the buck stops at you as far as anything in your
Yep.
company goes.
Yeah, well, and I think for a
and that's
company
a 24-hour job that never stops being a CEO or person in that.
and I feel like being the CEO of a game development company is a little different than being the CEO of, like other companies in like corporations in other fields, just because of the sort of volatile nature of game development.
Yes.
Right, because one bad project could like tank your company.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's a little less solvent than other industries, we'll say.
I think you're in a little more of a secure, particularly in a company that big. It's fairly secure.
Oh yeah. Blizzard's one of the more secure companies.
If you're in a smaller studio,
oh yeah,
you're for sure.
Yeah,
one bad game break you.
But yeah, this is just to say that it's being the CEO of a game development company may be more stressful than being the CEO of a company that traditionally just does well, and like you could not do anything and then the company would still do fairly well,
which I think is the case for many.
Yes. But so why don't we switch gears a little bit?
Yeah.
So this Microsoft potentially buying Obsidian.
That worries me quite a bit. Particularly, I'll say
maybe.
why. I'll say why. Because here's what I was thinking. Here's why EA popped in my head. Because BioWare was taken in by EA.
Yeah.
Oh.
BioWare used to be basically Obsidian as far as narrative and storytelling in their game. They were big time, like the top. They were the top. That's what you aimed for in storytelling and narrative in games. And then EA took them, and then you could argue there's a noticeable decline in the quality of their storytelling in games. And many people would probably attribute that to EA's influence to want to sell copies of games rather than put more quality into the games. And I worry that we get the same type of thing with Obsidian, because right now Obsidian is probably the best at narrative and story games.
So Counterpoint is Obsidian is also known for being especially volatile in its financial stability. So I don't know if I'm worried, but I'd be interested to see how it plays out, because Microsoft doesn't have a track record. They've bought other companies, but the success of those purchases has been all over the place. Like Rare, I don't know if Rare actually panned out for them. Like
at all.
You could argue, they had Viva Pinata, and then whether or not Sea of Thieves.
I always laugh when I see that game at work.
And it still remains to be seen whether or not Sea of Thieves can be called a success.
I would say it isn't.
But like
Sorry, you cut out for a second when you said that. It could be called a what?
Success, he said.
If Sea of Thieves is successful, probably not. Right?
I would say it isn't.
Most of Rare's other offerings not really successful. Like all the new stuff for Banjo-Kazooie, not great. Trying to think of what else Rare has even done.
Since Rare has been a non-player since 1999.
Pretty much.
Whenever.
Basically, once Nintendo offloaded them, they've kind of been a non-player. Microsoft picked up Mojang, which, all they do is Minecraft, so they don't have to do much to continue being successful.
Yeah.
Because Minecraft just sells itself.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not sure. I guess Bungie spun off from them. right? Because then didn't they buy Bungie at one point, and then Bungie's now independent?
I don't know. There's so many different.
Since Bungie now, because Bungie made Destiny, and Destiny's, for multiple platforms.
Bungie made Halo.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was back when they were Microsoft exclusive.
Yeah.
They were like a second party studio kind of thing. But now I don't think they are. So, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Phil Spencer will be like, "Yo, Obsidian, keep doing your thing because you're cool."
Oh, kind of like how Disney did with Lucasfilms.
What?
Ish.
Sort of, but it's a little different in game development.
Very ish.
Are you talking about the movies?
Yes.
No, you could see Disney's hand all over those. Not that they're bad. I enjoyed all the Star Wars movies so far, other than Rogue One. But that's the only one I really dislike. I think it's just boring. Anyways, digressing. But I think you see Disney's handprints all over the Star Wars movies for sure.
I don't know.
They feel very Disney to me.
I have to agree with Josh on this one.
Totally fine.
If not,
that's
like, even if it's not for, like, you can see direct influence, it's in how safe versus how risky they want to be, because you could see the same thing with Marvel as well.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's why I'm sick of Marvel movies, because they feel like the same movie every time to me.
Because that's why, like, it took basically until, it almost feels like until Thor Ragnarok for them to just, like, really let go and take risks.
Well, even that just seems like Guardians, which is fine. It was probably the right move for Thor because the other two were kind of boring.
I mean, the risk that they took was with the director.
Who directed that?
Taiki.
Oh, did you see James Gunn is on Suicide Squad 2?
I did.
Whoa.
That was going to be another thing that we were going to. So he is currently writing. There is no word if it's like a reboot, a remake, a sequel. It's just billed as Suicide Squad, and it has like the same characters, but nobody's talking about whether it's the same cast. But yeah, a Suicide Squad film for Warner Brothers. And supposedly
they need to take a risk and do something.
And
different.
Supposedly in talks to then also direct it.
That would be awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would certainly say that Warner Brothers, you could argue that they're quote unquote taking a risk by hiring him, but I don't actually think they're taking a risk at all due to the controversy.
I think most people were like, "Why did you fire James Gunn?"
I can answer that question.
I can too,
but I think it's getting in. It would get into a little bit of political discourse, which
everything's political, bro.
Oh, believe me, as someone with an art degree, I wholeheartedly agree with you that regardless of what you put out, like, you can't escape it.
Yeah.
In one way or another. But yeah, I don't want to get bogged down by.
Yeah, this isn't a political podcast.
Nope.
I don't even know if there would be much debate, but just even rehashing old arguments.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Plus, we got a lot more stuff to cover.
Yeah, we do.
So, before we get into kind of our big news discussion, so The Mandalorian. Speaking of Star Wars, Boba Fett film.
I thought it was going to be a series, a TV show.
I think what I saw was a film. Sam Raimi. Directed by Sam Raimi. Maybe it's a series directed by Sam Raimi.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah, so about Boba Fett.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm into this. I'm very into this.
So
yeah. Yeah, I like this. Especially because I thought it was going to be a TV show, and I'm glad they were going to do something on that media.
So we got
Why did I think it was like Jon Favreau was the director.
I mean, there may have been talks with him at one point.
I don't know.
I think that.
I think it was Sam
Raimi. Really
Raimi.
quick. The
So,
series. It's going to be a TV series.
okay.
Series will be written and executive produced by Jon Favreau
Okay.
and Dave Filoni.
Okay.
Dave Filoni directing the first episode, which I'm definitely good for that because Dave Filoni, in my opinion, is the best guy involved with Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
As far as behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Additional directors include Deborah Chow, who's done Jessica Jones, Rick Famuyiwa, who's done, I don't know, that TV show is Dope or movie. Bryce Dallas Howard, Taika Waititi.
That's
the guy.
That's the director.
Yeah, for Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Also
So
played Korg.
That's a list of different directors for different.
Okay.
episodes.
Why am I thinking Sam Raimi? There was some Star Wars project involving him, I think.
Maybe he was one of the directors. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think that is actually why it would be cool if it was like Firefly kind of style.
I could see that.
Episodic,
Yeah.
but following whether it's Boba Fett or some other Mandalorian. I don't care.
A
It's the
general
Mandalorians.
story, but
Mandalorians are just really cool, and their whole idea that Mandalorians is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
In the Star Wars universe, so when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, cool!" There wasn't much given about it. I was just like, "Well, I guess we'll wait and see what happens."
I think actually, because the Mandalorians lost the Mandalorian War, correct? Right? Do I have that?
They lost to the Empire, if I remember.
They lost to the Empire.
Yeah.
Would be interesting is to pull from a Firefly take is to have it set after that point, and then sort of like picking up the pieces after that war, and figuring out where to go next.
All right.
Keep a kind of a Firefly feel to it.
Yeah.
With more rockets.
Lots of flamethrowers, lots of rockets.
Gotta have flamethrowers and rockets because those are main DPS abilities for bounty hunters in
I mean, why
Star Wars?
What kind of Mandalorian? You gotta have jetpacks, you gotta have your T-visor helmet.
Yep.
You gotta have wrist rockets, you gotta have a flamethrower.
So wait a minute. All right. T-visor helmet. Flame, we'll call it flame-based weaponry or flamethrowers.
Flame-based weaponry.
Flame-based weaponry.
Flamethrowers. Come on.
Rockets and missiles, jetpacks, and other sort of jumping augmentation abilities.
Oh,
and bounty hunting is Samus Aran,
okay.
a Mandalorian in a different galaxy.
In Star Wars Rebels, and actually this was Clone Wars too. The Mandalorians have this black lightsaber. That's really sweet.
Nice.
Wait. I'm sorry. The physics in my mind does not understand that. A black lightsaber.
Yeah, the blade is black.
Void saber.
It's called dark saber or something.
Dark saber.
I don't know. No, this is where I chalk it up to. It is fantasy.
You have to suspend.
Where instead of being powered by that specific kind of crystal, it's powered by just how edgy the wielder is.
Well, want to know who gets it? Oh, guess who gets it at some point? Darth Maul has it at one point.
Of course. Of course.
Because in Clone Wars, Darth Maul becomes the leader of the Mandalorians for a hot second.
Yeah. It's just weird.
It's awesome. It's great.
Oh, awesome, but weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch Clone Wars. It's actually really, really good.
Yeah. So just a quick thing. I've been playing Overcooked 2. Overcooked 2 is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Megan and I have been playing it, and builds off of, the mechanics in the first game. And so it kind of starts you off a little easier than the first game did. So in the first level for this one, you're just making salad.
Gross.
And you have access to 2 ingredients, lettuce and tomatoes. So sometimes you just chop lettuce, put it on a plate, serve it. Sometimes you chop lettuce and tomatoes, put them on a plate, serve
is
it.
this, a restaurant for rabbits?
Yes. Sometimes.
Well, you got to start simple. Then from salad, you go to sushi, where all you do is chop fish, put it on a plate, serve it.
I'm just gonna make a sushi sandwich.
And then you work your way up to like actual sushi rolls, where you have to like boil rice, add nori, mix it all together. And then you work your way up to pasta.
Oh.
But yeah, so for people unfamiliar, Overcooked is a game in which it's best played as a multiplayer game, where you are chefs that have to overcome culinary challenges. It's very similar to like Diner Dash, in that you are racing to like get ingredients, prep them, cook them, assemble dishes, and like serve them up before time runs out to get points. And then if you get a certain number of points, you get stars as you're rating for the level. You need a certain number of stars to progress to the next level, kind of a thing. And the difficulty may be presented from the dishes that you have to make, or from interesting things that are happening in the environment. So, for example...
That's a nice way to put it.
You may be cooking on two separate rafts going down the river, and one person will have the ingredients, the other person will have the cutting boards, and then the first person will have like skillets to cook things, and then the other person will have where to actually like send in the dishes, kind of a thing. So it's like person one has to grab the ingredients and then throw them over to the other raft for person two to cut them up, then they have to throw it back over, sort of a thing. And so you're having to do a lot of cooperation and planning and figuring out like where to do things. In that regard, it actually kind of mimics like a kitchen atmosphere, in that there's somebody has to serve as like an expediter, where like calling out stuff. It helps if like somebody's like prepping on cutting stuff up, or like working with one specific ingredient. Someone works on like the skillets to cook things. Overcooked 2 introduces the ability to throw raw ingredients to other players. You can throw them like, so for example, like if I have uncooked pasta, I can throw it directly into a pot and cause it to start cooking. And you can throw it pretty far, so that adds an interesting strategic element to the game.
I can think of a few levels on Overcooked 1 that would
absolutely
help with.
Not available to Overcooked 1, as it's a new mechanic.
I know, but if it was...
the story for Overcooked 2 is that the Onion King, your friend and sort of one of the main characters in Overcooked 1, tries to create all these new dishes using the Necro Nom Nom Nomicon, and instead of making bread, raises the unbread. So all little bread zombies that are like slices of bread with zombie faces on them come up. And your goal is to build the power of cooperation in order to fight off the unbread. So you're spending the whole game learning how to cooperate.
Literally the power of friendship.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep,
well, you don't have to like the other people. You just have to know how to plan and serve things accordingly.
Oh man, and we have absolutely planned. So
it's a very cute game. It's a very silly game. But
I'd say depend.
Overcooked 2 just ratchets up kind of the zaniness of the environments and the kitchens that you're cooking in. Gives you a little twist on a lot of the dishes that you're making. So yeah, I mean, the last level that we played the other night, you start off in a hot air balloon, and because you're up high, stuff will shift across the basket of the hot air balloon because of winds, and then like you eventually go through a storm, so like the whole screen is shaking and moving and everything. Do not recommend that level for people with motion sickness, because that will trigger your motion sickness. And then at a certain point, lightning strikes the balloon and you go flying down, and you actually crash into a second kitchen where all of your dishes convert over from pasta to sushi, and you now have to like figure out, okay, where is everything? I now have to, okay, and it's all the ingredients are on conveyor belts in this particular kitchen. So you're like dramatically shifting gears from one kitchen making one set of dishes to a second kitchen making a second set of dishes. And absurdity,
Oh my god.
and it's great. So
Oh my gosh.
I
you
highly
need
recommend
for-
it. I think it's available on Steam, PS4, and Xbox One. It is also available on Nintendo Switch, which is where we're playing it. It should be roughly $25. It came out this fall. Highly recommend it. It does support local and online multiplayer.
Oh.
And you can do several different modes. Like there's cooperative, there's competitive, all that stuff. I think potentially if you do competitive, you can have like 8 people playing against each other.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you have like 2 teams of 4.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So yeah.
Yes. And I've actually picked up I picked up Super Mario Party as well. So we are going to have a game night.
Yeah, that'll be once I get the capture card and get that all set up, that would be a good one to stream.
Yeah.
As there will be a lot of upset individuals by the end of the game, I'm sure.
Yeah, when I crush all of you.
Due to the nature of Mario Party, you could be in first place the entire game, and then somebody gets all the bonus stars and then passes you and wins.
I will be the party star.
It is literally impossible to predict who is going to win Mario Party.
But yeah, because I was a creep, not gonna lie, and saw that Sean didn't have it, so I got it.
Well,
so that we could have game nights.
I did buy it. I did not buy it.
Already picked.
I did not buy it through GameStop. So.
Correct.
I bought it through the eShop because I wanted 5 times the Nintendo points.
That's fair.
Yes. So I got it digitally.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, what is game streaming? A question posed. A question posed before we started our Tales of Jemmora stream. So, particularly with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, since this came up. So game streaming is this weird sort of thing where you're not actually owning a local copy of the game. You are streaming it entirely through a service. So these require at least some level of broadband. For Assassin's Creed, I think it's something like 25 megabits per second in order to stream it. And it seems to be a big thing that's happening in Japan right now. I don't know how much of it is happening over here in the States.
Probably not as much because our broadband sucks.
Yeah, there's still a lot of places in the US that just don't have the infrastructure. But in Japan, this is apparently pretty common, where you pay a monthly membership for a game, as opposed to paying the equivalent of 60 US dollars to own it.
The $63.74 plus tax in the state of Massachusetts for a new game.
Yeah. Instead, you might pay like $10 a month or $20 a month or something. And while you have that, you're able to stream it to your device and then play it that way. Apparently, due to the coding, allows games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey to be streamed to the Switch, which is interesting because
when I saw that, I was like, but that's not on. Wait, what? How?
Yes, it is available for streaming on the Switch in Japan, not available for anywhere else for the Switch.
Yeah.
But just generally speaking, also Assassin's Creed came out. It's reviewing pretty well. People seem to like it.
Yep. People keep picking it up.
Cool stuff happening in classical Greece.
Yes.
I've got jokes for this, but it's inappropriate for this podcast.
Yeah, let's keep it classy. So,
but
I thought I heard that there was more ship-based stuff.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fun ship-based stuff. According to the girls on the TV at work, you get some major Black Flag vibes. Yes, that is how I will always refer to it, is according to the girls on the TV at work.
I want more Black Flag mechanics in like every game.
Yeah, it goes back with more Black Flag mechanics.
Less
stuff
pirates,
like that.
way less pirates in video games.
You don't even have to make it pirates. I just want more like boat stuff.
Less boats.
I also just want Skull and Bones to come out. Since that is just boat stuff. It's like if you took Assassin's Creed Black Flag and you took out all the Assassin's Creed stuff and then made it online multiplayer. That's Skull and Bones.
Okay.
So you have,
all right,
and you also introduce like kind of a weird MOBA-esque element to it, where like some boats are tank boats, some boats are DPS boats, some boats are support boats. And you can build a fleet with your friends and then go sail on adventures and fight off other fleets. But yeah, anyway, so Assassin's Creed Odyssey is currently out.
Yep.
But yeah, just this weird game streaming thing. I could see it coming to the States if they think there would be enough people who adopt it in major cities.
Yeah,
but I don't see it happening just yet, because I think there's too many rural locations in the United States that still don't even have internet. 25 megabit per second.
No,
internet.
Still don't even have internet. End of period. End of sentence.
Yeah.
Like there's tons of people even around here that don't have internet.
Yeah, well, I'm saying this is kind of
go in the hills for that, though.
Our area is representative of, well, it's also complicated by the fact that the hill towns are the ones that are going to be getting like gigabit broadband through their own special network.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the US is just too compartmentalized to really do like a good infrastructure plan at this point without having to do some restructuring of how things work.
Yeah. I think that it is a very, very interesting idea.
And then further complicated by the fact that you have very little options for what internet services you have available in any given region.
Yeah.
So
what are these options of which you speak?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of people like me out there who like owning physical copies of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a thing. Like I still buy physical copies of most of my
stuff. That just made me being a product of my generation. Maybe there's the younger kids don't care as much.
It's actually interesting. I get more older people who are converting everything to digital than I have younger people at work asking for digital codes of games.
I could see, because it's just like
it might be people wanting to not wanting to get more clutter.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
people like Josh and myself still have more room for clutter.
Well, I mean, I'm single and I don't have any obligations to anybody, so I can just have my own stuff. I don't have to make room for anybody else's stuff. It's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's okay. One of these days I'll just get saddlebags for the dog and I'll just keep stuff in
there. You go.
Yeah.
Get saddlebags for Monty.
Yeah. I mean, we already get him sweaters and stuff. That's just another. It's it's just getting like cargo shorts for a dog.
Sweater.
So.
Yes, I will also dress your dog.
Cool. Cool. But yeah, I think game streaming is just an interesting concept, but I foresee self-driving cars happening.
Platform, that's awesome.
Also, I think I'd be worried about input lag.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like they tell you,
no matter how fast your internet is, you're gonna get input lag.
They tell you that you have to have a certain, like, in order to play this game, they say you have to have a baseline upload speed in order to play this game, or you're not going to have a good time. So, because yeah, believe me, I remember the days of trying to play World of Warcraft on a slightly working DSL connection. Yeah, and there were times when it was a full 2 seconds between inputting something and then the action actually happening.
That's some pretty big lag.
And it wasn't a frame rate issue, because I would see my character very fluidly running in that location and then all of a sudden teleport to another location. And then doing the action. Yeah. So. But yeah, just an interesting concept. And it's weird because, like, Assassin's Creed is a game that one would think shouldn't run on the Switch due to its graphic intensity.
But people think that that Skyrim shouldn't play on the Switch either, and it does.
There's a big difference in the graphical fidelity between Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Skyrim.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Skyrim can 2011.
Skyrim can run on the Switch just fine.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is it's a little I think it's a little out of the Switch's league. However,
here's where you're going to see the difference, and where you're going to see the big differences is in probably 2020 when the new next generation PlayStation and Xbox comes out.
Yeah,
they're probably going to be way more powerful than what we have now, and that's when you're going to see the big differences if games are cross-platform on the Switch and the PlayStation and Xbox, whatever comes next.
Well, I mean, the stuff that is cross-platform right now, I mean, has an aesthetic, has an art style that lends itself to being a less powerful game on that. I don't know if that will change, because those tend to be just more stylistic decisions than... Because it's usually smaller developers that are doing cross-platform stuff these days. Like the big ones are, they're sticking to one platform, or they're doing, PlayStation, Xbox, PC on one side, and then, if they do a Switch version, it's usually some totally different version, or they don't, But yeah. It was just an interesting... The whole streaming thing was an interesting thing that came up.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. I agree.
Yeah. So,
not for me though.
Nah, not for me either.
I think it's a logical next step.
Oh yeah.
But I think I don't know.
It's definitely a way for companies to gouge money out of you over the long run, for sure.
I mean, maybe.
I think so.
I think it depends on the price point, kind of thing, because I mean, if you're going to play Assassin's Creed for longer than, let's say that it's $20 a month. Like, if you play it less than 3 months and then cancel, I mean, you've pretty much, gotten a deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It benefits those who just play one game at a time. And for people that...
For me, I mean, a game like that, I'm gonna beat that in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. So then you pay like the $10,
but
$10-$20.
There'll be more DLCs, so you'll have to hold on to it if you want to play the DLCs. That's what I think they'll do.
Well, I think it's the case that you would just re-up.
Game companies aren't out for us to have fun; they're out for them to make money.
I think Blizzard would. Well, Blizzard would say that the two are not mutually exclusive.
I think some of the devs.
Yeah,
I think the devs are in it to make
a fair statement.
I think the devs want to make cool stuff, but I think the executives are like, how do we make more money for us and our shareholders?
Probably. I mean, that is a consideration, but...
is the consideration in a company.
I think it's also making a good product is the other consideration.
That helps in the bottom line. Not that I condone this. I think it's a crappy way, but it's the way.
The way.
That's right. Oh, you remind me of something. A bunch of the voice lines came out for the upcoming patch for WoW.
Yeah.
And Zakan, I was listening to Zakan's line, Zappy Boy.
Oh yeah.
Some lines, and he's in it. He's actually going to be a character model in the game.
Very good.
To one of the horde missions is you have to go find Sourfang because he escapes.
Yep.
And basically, Sylvanas like, bring him back. And you go, and Zakan's there, and basically you let Sourfang beat you up to make it look like you fought him, so he can run away again.
Yep.
And it's nice to see Zappy Boy in game.
Does he run off with Sourfang?
He wants to, but Sourfang's like, no, you have to stay behind. And basically, he's like, basically remind people in
Orgrimmar.
Wow, Orgrimmar. I wanted to say Durotar, but that's not it.
Well, Orgrimmar's in Durotar.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. It works. It still works.
But
to let them know like what the horde truly stands for.
He's like, remind them of their actual honor.
Yeah.
And that basically I'm out here still.
I'm still here.
I'm still wandering around.
Work. Yeah, I'm still wandering around.
He's the horde's boogeyman. Sourfang gonna come in the night and get you.
Boogeyman. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, that'll be.
I want to see.
Also, apparently, Gallywix and who's the gnome?
Mechatork.
Torque have like a 1v1 fight in the middle of the raid.
Yes.
And, like they're both in mech suits and they're fighting each other. That's one of the boss fights.
Oh, fun fact. So during the Alliance war campaign is like you get a tip as to where Gallywix is and you go and try to assassinate him. And I'm like, I don't think the Horde would try and stop us.
No.
At this point. I don't think anybody realistically would try and stop us. No, so like you go to his pleasure palace that's somewhere in Ajara.
Oh, that just sounds skeezy.
It's basically
a skeezy goblin.
But it's basically like mini golf and pools with like, pool toys and stuff, and it's just a bunch of like
that's just creepy.
And it's basically like investment bankers and stuff like that. All people like attending this beach party kind of a thing.
There's this one.
No, I do not need to. No.
Then all of clone.
All of those
like you actually
just put very bad images.
You actually kill the person posing as Gallywix, and it turns out they're just a clone.
There's this one. Yeah, nobody in the Horde likes them, and to prove that, there's a point when you have to set up one of your camps on your guys' islands. It's like you, Etrig, and Gallywix go, and the whole time Etrig's just like, I hate you, Gallywix. I hate everything you say.
Yeah,
you're a disgusting, gross, fat goblin. Shut up. I just want to keep going. But it's like it's the Drustavar one, so it's also like this is spooky. Everything's spooky.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gallywix is a fat, gross goblin, and everyone hates him. He's only there because he has a bunch of goblins mining Azerite for us. That's it. All he's good for.
That's all he's good for.
Basically.
Yeah. All right. So, let's move on to news for this week in 8-Bit Adventures. No comic this week as I was out of town. However, as I said, we had our first episode of Tales of Jemmora launched this week. So it's each session that we do, so each live stream that we do is going to be chunked up into 3 different episodes. Those are going to release weekly, both in video format on YouTube and in audio format on all your favorite podcast platforms, except Google Play because they're dumb, and Stitcher because they're extra dumb. But Spotify, Pocket Casts, iTunes, I mean, those are the 3 like kind of big ones. Or Podbean, because that's where it hosted. And, if you want to see it on another one, let us know at podcast@jemmora.com, Jemmora.com. And I'll send the feed out to some other service. $2 patrons of 8-Bit Adventures will have access to all 3 episodes as they're uploaded. So they're all up right now on the Patreon. So if you can't wait, you might want to consider just throwing $2 a month to 8-Bit Adventures.
$2 a month, and you get to listen to me do an awful British accent for 3 hours.
It's
every
absolutely
week.
Lovely.
Every 2 weeks.
And you get to hear Josh berating me the entire evening as well.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. There was an art stream this week. There will be game night tomorrow night. Going to continue playing Earthblock.
Yes.
Going to do a little experiment and connect my Nintendo Switch Pro controller to the computer and play with that, because apparently Steam has support for the Pro controllers.
I will believe that when I see it.
You can actually look it up on Google, and it will tell you how to do it.
Is it through Steam, or do you need to have a third-party piece of software?
It's through Steam.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. Also, well, because apparently Windows detects it as just like, it'll just detect it as Pro controller.
Just controller.
Yeah.
At least it just detects my PS4 controller as controller.
Yeah.
I have to actually have a third-party software to make my PS4 controller
work. Steam has support for it. So it's like if you launch it in like big screen mode or whatever it is.
You know what? Maybe I don't know.
And then like you do controller settings or whatever, and you can actually set up different controller outputs for it. So like you can change the button layout to mirror an Xbox controller, even though it's a Nintendo controller.
Can I throw something in real quick?
Okay.
As we're talking about controllers, because because Xbox is coming out with this amazing adaptive controller that you can, and I hear about it all the time at work, and I'm absolutely in love with it. Because you can actually program it however you need to, so that it's easier for anybody to play.
It's supposed to help people with physical disabilities.
Yeah.
Yes. And like, so one of the coolest things is during our I think it was our store leader conference, they actually did a display of it and actually did a demo of it, and they hooked up a Singer sewing machine pedal to the to the remote, and they were able to use it. And I'm just like, that is an insanely awesome thing for accessibility, for everybody to be able to be gaming, and I want to see more of that.
That's pretty cool, but it's not this controller.
That's your Street Fighter.
That's my fight pad.
That's
your fight pad.
No, it's not that. It is not that.
Oh, that's cool, but
all I keep thinking is it's like Bass Pro Hunter or something because it looks like fish hooks.
See,
like Sonic's Bass Pro Hunters.
No, for half a second, I actually thought it was the Mega Man wired controller that we got in at work.
No, it's my Chun-Li fight pad.
That makes sense. That makes
the colors.
Sense. Yeah, and the patterning.
That's on her. That's what's on her little dress there.
Yes.
Now he recognizes.
Yes, that's Chun-Li.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway.
No, I just wanted to like put that out there in case people hadn't heard about it.
Jokes aside, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because it is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to hear more about it. As we continue, I'm just really hoping that they actually work as well as they say they will. Because I'm sick of getting Elite controllers and even Scuff controllers now in as defective.
Yep.
Because people are having issues with connecting them and with their Scuff controllers staying plugged in and keeping a charge. So just also a warning to any listeners out there that it might not be the best investment right now. Wait until the second wave.
Yeah.
For them to figure that out.
But yeah, so to just pull the discussion back.
Yes.
Earthlock, Festival of Magic.
Yes.
So I picked up the second character in the party at this point, so now I have my thief and my little alchemist mage dude. So
sweet.
He's a bunny pig, bunny boar, bunny rat, or bunny pig. He's like a little. He almost looks like a little Moogle, but he's got little tiny tusks.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, he's a little pig dude. Or pig bunny.
Gosh,
that's what he is. He's a pig bunny.
That is absolutely adorable. I'm gonna have to watch tomorrow night to.
Yep. So 8 p.m. Eastern time. Come watch.
Critical Role.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll probably do like 2 hours. Hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. So it'll be low key. Come hang out. So yeah. And that's pretty much it. There will be a comic next week.
Yay!
So yeah. With that, it's time for Quest Log. This week, in our Playing with Class series, we're talking about monks.
Yeah.
Like Gregorian monks?
Yes, we're going to just start doing some chanting.
So, fun fact is in 2nd edition, monks were a thing, and they were kind of a combination of like Gregorian monks and Shaolin monks.
There's a lot of times where I'm talking to people who don't know about D&D, or I'm trying to, particularly kids, which is weird to me. I'm like, oh, here's the different classes you can be, blah, 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 blah. I get to monk. They're like a church person?
Do you mean cleric?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They think it along that I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like you ever watch a Bruce Lee movie? Like,
Yeah, I think it's a little hamstrung in calling them monks when like they could call them as like brawler or something else.
martial artist.
Or martial artist. I think they've just really tied themselves to like this monk mythos
I mean,
kind of a thing.
monk to me, I think of a Shaolin style monk when I think monk.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a pretty much direct correlation.
Yeah.
But
I think it's also like people getting into D&D may latch on to more of like the European fantasy, whereas the style of monk that D&D presents is more of a sort of East Asian style fantasy. It's great if you're going to do a Wuxia game.
Yeah.
But yes, so the monk, martial artist master, fights with their fists or, traditionally spears, staves,
the fisties and
daggers.
But
Sometimes their head. And focused a lot on sort of quick strikes, evading, lightly armored,
patient defense,
and being able to do almost supernatural elements by channeling ki through their body. So things like
after watching some things on subtitles, I'm realizing is not spelled Key.
No. It's
I'm not gonna lie, it took me until I put subtitles on a D&D stream to realize it wasn't Key points.
See, now what I want is Critical Role's Beauregard to be channeling Matt Key, is Geek and Sundry's Matt Key whenever she uses key points. And I'm pretty sure like tons of people have made this pun before to Marisha Ray on Twitter, just talking about like key points and everything. And like putting like Matt Key's face up whenever it happens. But yes, so monks can spend key points to do things like attack more often, to sort of defend while doing other things so they don't have to spend their action to dodge. They can make themselves even more nimble. And so you can do things like crouching tiger, hidden dragon style jumping and almost like floating through the air. You can like catch arrows out of midair, and then by spending key points can then throw them back at either that person or another person within range. After a certain level, they just stop aging. They can like speak to any creature.
Oh geez, what the heck is it? It's called like perfect self or something, isn't it? That it stop aging.
Perfect self, I think, is their capstone, where it's if you're out of key points, you get key points. Timeless body is what you're thinking of.
Oh, timeless body.
Yeah.
I just always liked that perfect self. They reached the top of Maslow's hierarchy.
I love it.
Yes,
Self-actualization.
Yeah.
When I was making sort of D&D classes for like an RPG Maker style RPG, Monk was probably the most fun to make because I was doing things like that you would equip skills. And so Monk, I converted a lot of the stuff into like stances. And so, and passive abilities. So the Monk was big on like, as far as actions to take, it's pretty much just attack a lot. But like the cool part was deciding what passive abilities you were going to equip. So like, were you going to be, like perfect self, diamond soul, timeless body. So yeah.
These sound very
mystical.
Interesting.
Yes. So
interesting is the word I'm gonna go with.
Monks can also slow their fall so that they take less falling damage. Stunning strike.
They get feather fall?
No, it's not. You're not immune to falling damage. It's that you reduce falling damage taken.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, they
equal
get feather
to
fall? What?
Equal to 5 times your monk level.
What?
So a 20th level monk is essentially immune to 100 points of falling damage if they use their reaction.
Wow.
Yeah. They do it by not doing a superhero landing.
Oh, you mean by not turning into a goldfish?
No, I mean by not doing a superhero landing because it's
By
bad
not
for your
doing a
knees.
3-point landing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad on the knees. At 6th level, your unarmed strikes count as magic weapons.
What?
At 7th level, you get evasion, so you...
Wait. Go back. Your hands.
Yes, your hands and feet are considered magical weapons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically, you infuse chi into your, or ki, whatever. Into
they're pretty synonymous.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Either both are
Oh my gosh. I did not know that was a thing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's basically like that's all it does. You don't get bonuses to it, so like it's not treated as a +1 weapon.
Well, also here's the thing: your unarmed attacks get pretty strong as you level up too. The dice get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, they start at D4s.
4, you know.
And
so
by 17th level,
normal.
by 17th level, well,
that's
unarmed
less.
strike is normally 1 plus strength modifier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And a D4 is less than a small one-handed weapon. It's less than a finesse weapon.
So D4 is basically a dagger.
Oh yeah. No, I'm thinking.
I was gonna say a D4 is what my daggers do.
Yeah. By 5th level, it's equivalent to a short sword.
Yeah.
By 11th level, it's equivalent to a long sword. And then at 17th level, it's you deal 1d10 with your unarmed strikes.
Which is holding a long sword two-handed.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Except then, you get to make multiple attacks.
Well, and then you do flurry of blows, and you're doing 4 attacks per round.
Quite a bit. And then you still get to benefit from whatever you're holding in your hands, because you can kick.
Oh my god.
Yes. 7th level, so you get evasion, and you get stillness of mind. So you basically become mostly immune to area of effects, and you can use your action to just cancel charm or fear.
Oh.
10th level, you're immune to disease and poison. 13th level, you understand all spoken languages, and you can understand a language any creature is trying to say. Diamond Soul is it grants you proficiency with all saves, and then you can spend a
clarification on the animals.
You know all languages, all spoken languages.
I get that, but then any language an animal is trying to speak?
No, that a creature. So animals don't speak unless they're awakened. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you speak all languages and you understand all spoken languages.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Diamond Soul is you gain proficiency in all saves, and then you can spend a key point to re-roll a save. Timeless Body, you no longer age. And you can't be aged magically. You still die of old age when you reach that point. In addition, you no longer need to eat or drink. 18th level, you can become invisible. During that time, you're resistant to all damage but force. And you can spend 8 key points to astrally project. So you can basically become a ghost.
Wow.
And then your capstone is when you roll for initiative and have no key, you get 4 key.
Pretty good.
So, monks, I think, also have kind of the most interesting subclasses flavor-wise. Because you have Way of the Open Hand, which is basically you're just a straight-up kung fu master. Augments your unarmed strikes. So, right off the bat, you can just automatically knock prone, force a save to knock prone, force a save to push away, or just cause somebody to not be able to take reactions every time. Sorry, you make a flurry of blows. Not every unarmed strike, but
wow.
And then you get some defensive features. So at the end of a long rest, starting at 11th level, you just are affected by Sanctuary. So if you don't attack stuff doesn't want to attack you.
Oh, that's what Sanctuary does. Okay.
Yes. At 17th level, you can do Quivering Palm, which is just you touch somebody, and at a certain point, you can spend key points to then just kill them later.
But later in the fight?
No.
That's the what is it in Kill Bill? The
5-finger death punch.
Yeah.
It's it lasts for a number of days equal to your monk level.
Oh.
So yeah,
you punch them, and 20 days later they just die.
So 20 days later, you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna activate it then. And as long as they're on the same plane, they have to make a con save.
God.
If they fail the con save, they drop to 0 hit points and are dying. If they fail, they take 10d10 necrotic damage.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, Way of the Shadow is you're basically a ninja. You get all shadow stuff, and kind of a rogue shadow dancer like class.
Okay.
There's Way of the Four Elements, in which you become an elemental bender, we'll say, like a water bender, air bender, fire bender. It's considered.
Are you Aang, as in you can do all of them, or is it just one?
You are Aang.
Yeah,
okay.
Well,
no, like that's a specification that needed to be made.
Yeah, it's basically you gain the ability to cast certain spells that are elementally inclined using your key points. It is actually considered one of the weakest subclasses.
Really?
Due to the nature of how spells are done and the fact that technically the monk uses the spell point system from the DMG.
Yeah.
But I think an easier way to do that would have been to set it up like the Warlock, because both have a rechargeable resource. Like, if monks are going to use key points, which are recharged at the end of a short rest, Warlocks also get spell slots back at the end of a short rest. It would have made more sense to build them similarly. And instead, it's you might only get a couple of spells, and they use a lot of key points to cast. So you might get like one casting of it, which you would just get more utility out of doing Flurry of Blows or Patient Defense.
Yeah.
Stunning Strike, kind of a thing. But I mean, you can do things like so like you can spend 2 key points to cast Thunder Wave. You can spend 1 key point to turn your arms into tendrils of fire, and you get fire tentacles. You can spend 2 key points and make a whip made out of water. You can spend 2 key points and basically throw punches at people using air magic.
Oh, I like that, actually.
Yeah. That's the thing where I would have said that as like an additional effect to that is that you just get, like, without spending key points, you get to make ranged attacks with your unarmed strikes.
That's what's Karazim's E?
Yeah. Very similar.
Reach. Yeah.
So yeah, flavor wise, it is like 100% dial to 11. And a lot of people really like it. It's just mechanics wise, it may need some work. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in playing a class like this, talk to your DMs, work with your players to kind of play this up. Maybe let them do some interesting stuff without spending key points. Maybe tweak things a little bit, if needed.
I would just I would add elemental damage to your unarmed attacks.
I mean, that's a great one.
That would just spend a key point or 2, and then for a minute you have element of your choice added to.
Well, you could just say for spending a bunch of key points, you get to do elemental weapon, which is a spell that does that very thing.
Right. Yeah.
What's funny is there's a couple things like elemental absorption and like elemental weapon and stuff that the monk doesn't get access to. That would have been interesting. So, maybe introducing certain things like that. But yeah, I think it just gets hamstrung by the fact that it uses the spell point feature, but doesn't get the same number of spell points that full casters do.
Also, you want to know something?
Yeah.
They're missing out on a lot of elemental spells that came out in
Prince
of the Apocalypse.
Yes, that's the other thing. Is that
the handbook.
As new spells come out, Way of the Four Elements doesn't get updated to allow more features, and the only features that you get.
Apocalypse was all elemental based, so there's all different elemental spells added in that.
And the only features that you get are learning these new abilities. You don't get any other features.
I would probably home rule it that you could just pick any elemental spells you want.
Yeah, I mean the big thing is
as long as you talk with me about it, I don't care.
Well, and the thing is, because it just literally uses that spell point variant,
Yeah.
Just let them pick that spell, and then just assign that cost. And
Yeah,
that's the number of key
exactly.
points that you got
That's
to
what I'm
spend.
saying.
Yeah.
If you want to pick, if you're on 3rd level spells, pick whatever 3rd level spell you want, as long as it's an elemental based spell. I don't care.
Yeah.
You're choosing to spend your points on it, whatever. That's your call.
I think it's also weird in that like they're kind of a weird like 3/4 caster.
Yeah.
Because they get access to Cone of Cold, and which is a 6th level spell. So they get access to higher level spells than paladins and rangers do. But they don't get access to 9th level spells like full casters do. So it's a little weird.
They just get that one spell though.
Yeah, I mean that's the only that's one of the spells that you would learn. That's why it's like I wish they would have done it a little more similar to Warlock, because Warlocks also know very similar or very limited number of spells. But you get a little more variety in what you can pick, kind of a thing.
You do want to be careful though, because you don't want to give them too much.
I mean, you can pick Fireball.
Right.
You can pick Fireball, Shatter, Gaseous Form, Fly, Wall of Fire, Gust of Wind, Burning Hands, Wall of Stone, Stone Skin, Thunder Wave, Hold Person, Cone of Cold. And then the other ones are like sort of minor effects. But yeah. So, in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, we also get the Kensei, which is if you want to focus on wielding weapons as a monk. We get the Drunken Master.
Ooh.
So
nice.
Oh, hey, Chen.
Doesn't actually have to do with drinking and getting drunk. It is mimicking the movements of a drunken person to cause misdirection and to put your foes at a disadvantage because they underestimate you, and then use that against them. So you use like jerky, uncontrolled movements to throw your foes off balance. In 3rd edition, there was a variant where like it did kind of focus on drinking, where like one of the abilities was like after consuming alcohol, you could ignite the alcohol in your blood and then breathe fire. Whoa. By spending ki. I do kind of miss that ability a little bit because it was cool. I think it's another one where like you could activate it and then use it as a healing potion as a way to just like heal hit points.
Well, I know what I like to do, and I'm probably going to do eventually.
Yes.
Adds up in my game. A lot of 4th edition classes had pretty cool abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Fighter had like a cool, almost spell-like abilities attached to the classes.
Yep.
I'm thinking about taking those and attaching them to pieces of gear as like abilities you would get. Like you have this weapon,
yeah,
you get this ability, or you have this armor, you get this ability.
You might want to even look at just like 4th edition weapons, because a lot of weapons had abilities like that tied to them.
Yeah.
Or a lot of items,
I think
rather.
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
But that would be when I would like to, I don't know. You basically have what's the, I'm thinking of that monk staff with the keg hanging off it, and WoW.
Oh, yeah, the Brewmaster artifact weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you like take a chug of that, and then you can do that whatever fire move or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically Brewmasters in World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the last one, I think, and perhaps one of my favorites, is the Sun Soul Monk. Sadly, also considered one of the weaker subclasses.
Do you like Dragon Ball Z?
Then, if you like Dragon Ball Z, this class is for you, because...
Do you go Super Saiyan?
You do, actually, and you throw radiant bolts of light from your hands as ranged attacks.
You play a Scourge, I think it's Scourge, Asamir, and they basically have a racial ability that's basically go Super Saiyan.
Yes.
Basically, you just explode radiant energy around you.
Yeah.
And then you pick that Sun Soul monk, and you basically just shoot ki blasts at people. So there you go. There's your Super Saiyan.
Well, they also, I mean, at a certain level, they also get an ability to just channel a radiant aura that deals damage to everybody near them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look up. I don't know if they gain the ability to fly.
That's also the Asamir racial.
I don't know if Scourge get that.
Yeah, is it Scourge, or I think it was.
I'll have to look that up. But basically, Radiant Sunbolt is you just get to make ranged spell attacks with your unarmed strikes that deal radiant damage. At 6th level, you get Searing Arc Strike, which is Burning Hands.
See, here's another thing I would homebrew that one, just because Dragon Ball Z has inspired me with this one so much. Give them special, like you get a special move that is yours.
Yes.
Like you come up with it on your own and talk with me what you want it to be, and I'll probably decide what the damage is, and it's whatever radius or it's an AoE or whatever it is. But like talk with me about it, and we can figure out like your signature technique. So Goku's obviously Kamehameha, Krillin's is Destructo Disc, Vegeta's Big Bang attack. So
I thought you were gonna say Gallic Gun.
Well, that's his smaller one. Big Bang is his big one.
Yeah.
Yamcha, Full Fang Fist.
So whatever. Or do interesting things like instant transmission.
Or just whatever. Make up your own. If you're inspired by Dragon Ball Z, like you could come up with a zillion ideas from that. And watch any anime, really.
Yeah.
If you like Naruto, Rasengan, perfect. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, real quick, in the NFL, some guy scored a touchdown, and his touchdown dance was he had the guy behind him put the football in his hand like he was charging a Rasengan, and he ran up and like hit the other guy sitting in front of him in the stomach with it. I posted one on Facebook the other day. These two guys on the Cleveland Browns did the fusion dance for Dragon Ball Z.
Now that's fun.
That's a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
That same guy on the Steelers who did a Rasengan did a Kamehameha at the goalpost one time with the football. It's really, I love it. Almost makes me want to watch football.
But the interesting thing is,
just for the touchdown dances,
was it a Kamehameha, or was it a Hadouken?
Oh, could have been
Hadouken.
Could have been.
Yeah. I kept wanting to say Shoryuken, and I'm like, no.
No, that's the uppercut. Come on,
no,
man.
And it looks real dumb when you try and do that in real life, because you don't jump that high.
No.
But yeah, so Way of Sun Soul, you also get the ability to throw essentially a bomb that just explodes into light. And then at 17th level, you wrap yourself in luminous energy that deals damage to people around you. So yeah, all very, very mystical flavored stuff. So and it gives you some options, right? That you can be, sort of an elemental, sort of Shaolin bender style monk. You can be a ninja. You can be like a warrior monk. You can be Goku. And then, monk actually pairs really well with certain other classes. Like it pairs really well with rogue.
Yeah.
Especially if you pump wisdom, because monks need dexterity and wisdom, because they don't get to wear any armor. So their armor class, sort of like what we covered in the Barbarian, where Barbarians get to do Dexterity and Constitution, just be like tough and just resist attacks. Monks get to just avoid attacks by doing that. So you get to add your Dexterity and Wisdom to your armor class, provided that you are not wearing any armor. And I think you're not wielding a shield.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. You also, if you want to bump up your armor class, prioritize items like Cloak of Protection, Ring of Protection, Bracers of Protection, because those all specify that you can't wear any armor. They all stack with each other. So if you can get all three, and pump your dex and AC up, your unarmed strikes are also considered finesse weapons. So you can basically just focus on dexterity. It leads to the interesting thing of monks that like dump their strength. So they're like super agile and super fast, but they just like go like da-da-da-da-da-da, and there's like no force behind their punches. But you could do like a grappler style monk.
That'd be, I've been thinking about this a lot, is just because in MMA, jiu-jitsu is huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of MMA, and
yeah.
when I think monk, I think MMA style fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see, I know there's grappling rules, but jiu-jitsu's a little more specific than just grappling.
Oh yeah.
It's like very specific types of grabs and holds and submissions. So be interesting to see something like that. but
I mean, that's something, that's something where you could easily, like, if a monk picked up the grappler feat, you could let them, instead of rolling athletics, you just let them roll like an unarmed strike.
Yeah. Also, it would be pretty impractical in a large scale fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's better for like one-on-one type stuff.
Yeah, and like if you're trying to like chase somebody down and capture them.
Yeah.
Like you're chasing somebody through the streets and you just need to, get them. Yeah. It's great.
But, I mean, I will say,
versus a dragon, you ain't arm barring a dragon.
In 4th edition.
Wait. So you can't just grab onto their leg. So you can't just grab onto their leg and say, "I have you."
Yeah.
You're not going nowhere.
You can, but you get grappled instead of you grapple them.
If you were giant size, you could take a potion of giant.
Oh, absolutely.
Size.
Yeah.
You definitely could.
Yeah.
I mean, that would just be hilarious.
But yeah, so one of the things was to bring up like this grappler brawler kind of build is 4th edition actually it was a fighter build that was revolving around, you would have your offhand free, and a lot of your attacks, like you would make an attack and then get a free grab attempt. And the idea was that you would do it as battlefield control, where you would like grab an enemy and then you would like retreat back to the back line, like drag the enemy back to the back line as like a free action kind of a thing. And then like your allies would just all jump this one guy, and then like you would run back out, like do the same thing, grab one guy, bring him back.
Grab one, bring it back. Grab one, bring it
back.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I'm pretty sure I just like a week or two ago I watched a video of Merle's making that class for 5th edition. Essentially,
probably he has been working on updating some things.
Yeah, he was just doing a video like, oh, here's like how I go about making a class.
It was probably a VOD of the Mike Morhaime, was it Happy Fun Time Design Hour or something?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
I was listening to it while I was farming anchorweed and WoW. But just because it's so mindless, I need something to listen to while I'm doing that, running in circles trying to pick flowers in Warcraft. But
well, he's running through the fields picking flowers.
Yeah, because the base rules right now is that if you're grappling
he used
somebody,
a fighter base. He was making a fire subclass essentially.
Yep.
But
base rules right now is if you have somebody grappled, you can just drag them with you. You just move at half speed. You don't have to make an additional check for that or whatever. So there is some element of battlefield control that you can do with it. I mean, also grappling somebody and knocking them prone, great tactic, because then they can't stand up. Because when they're grappled, they have no speed. Their speed is 0. You have to spend half your speed in order to get up. So if your speed's 0, you have no speed to spend. Can't get up until you break free of the grapple.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually what kind of my plan was for early Darastrix build. Was that, and then I would have Gix help me grab people and knock them down. And then basically just like hold on to them and give the party free advantage on melee attacks.
Yeah.
But I then turned into a range character and I went, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. Also fighting giants. I'm not knocking prone any giants anytime soon. Yeah, it'd be more like, me hanging on the back, like, shoot her! But yeah, so monks are also experiencing a big rise in popularity right now due to Critical Role, I think. Everybody's kind of seeing Beauregard in action and going like, oh, this is pretty cool.
See, it's funny. As much as I love Beau as a character, I in amazing as monks are, I don't have the biggest urge to play a monk right now.
I have a backup character that is a monk.
I'd really like to play a monk. I actually have again, most of my characters aren't based on the class. It's based on, I have this idea for a story. A story based on the class. But yeah, I have one for monk that I kind of probably.
I would love to see.
Right now, it's my next character if something were to happen to Jacob.
I would love to see right now as a one shot or something, or maybe in a little mini campaign, is to do Dragon Heist as like a Big Trouble in Little China, and have an entire party of monks, and have it be very like sort of martial arts based adventure.
You mean
so sort of like what High Rollers is doing right now. You could do 4 Tortle monks. Sadly, here's another consideration. So like barbarians, if you are a turtle or a lizard folk, your natural armor does not stack with the monk's unarmored defense. You have to pick one. So if you're a lizard folk, this means that you don't necessarily have to have like 16 wisdom. So like if your wisdom is less than 16, you just get to use your natural armor class.
Yeah.
If you're a turtle, this means that if your armor class is just less than 18, you just get 18 as your armor class. The drawback is you can't wear armor, but if you're a monk, you don't want to wear armor anyways. So
yeah.
Man, you just gave me an idea for a one-shot or a mini campaign. Not Big Trouble in Little China, but another Kurt Russell classic.
Oh, goodness. Are we just going to do, like...
You know what I'm going to say? Do you know what movie I'm going to say it's based off of?
I'm trying to think.
I'm just thinking of, like, D&D campaigns based
Snake
off of movies.
Plissken. Iroquois Pliskin.
I'm drawing a blank.
Or, well, Snake Plissken. Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, there's just Prison City.
Yep.
And the party needs to go in and get the MacGuffin, whether it's a person or a thing.
Yep.
And you have to basically fight your way out through this awesome prison city. It'd be
I mean, you could do that.
Bandits and monsters.
Just like you do Dragon
types
Heist.
Of baddies.
You do Dragon Heist, and you just say Waterdeep has fallen.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow,
and it is
totally...
just riots everywhere,
yes.
and you got to get in. You gotta, and you can say like you got to rescue Laurel Silverhand, get the treasure, and get out.
Yeah, or like Blackstaff or somebody.
Yeah,
super
Blackstaff.
important.
Ooh, even better. You also introduce a noir element.
Or Blackstaff has gone rogue and taken over the city, and everything's totally messed up.
Maybe you could do that. Here's what I'm thinking.
I want to play in this game so badly.
Or even better.
Oh my gosh.
Who's the guy in the Undermountain? Who's the wizard down there?
Oh, I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But whatever. He comes back, and the corruption from Undermountain comes with him, and Waterdeep's just totally messed up.
Or you just do what they did in Ack Inc., and his giant statue rises up, and he just lays waste to the city.
Oh, Pillars of Eternity 2.
Yeah, basically. But no, here's another thing that you could do. Add a mystery element to it. And in addition to Laurel Silverhand, the Open Lord, you also have to find the Masked Lords and get them out as well.
Oh,
so you have to figure out you have to determine the identity of the Masked Lords.
Well, some of the Masked Lords are definitely going to be bad. They're going to be in on it, at least in my game.
Okay. Well, but still,
the Masked Lords aren't benevolent.
But still, the idea is that because they still run Waterdeep, is that that you need to get them out. So that they don't get
you know what?
killed off.
This is a logical conclusion in my campaign of what happens if the Xanathar keeps getting more powerful.
So you guys are legitimately just making this amazing campaign right
now.
Well,
you would do it as like an adventure.
This is my campaign 5 years in the future if what's happening doesn't get taken care of now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. But yeah, you could easily do, so I would love to do an all monk game as like a one shot.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
It would be a fun one shot.
I think doing an all X class thing has merit to it, and I think it makes it interesting. Sure. And monks in particular.
It's fun because you can learn all the different things you do with it. Because again, with anything in D&D, you're gonna have 6 different people playing a rogue 6 different ways.
I also think
they're gonna have some things that are all the same, but
yeah.
Well, one of my favorite one of them actually is Liam's Liam's first one shot he did on Critical Role, where they basically all played rogues. I think they all played rogues except for Laura. Laura played not a rogue. Everyone else played a rogue.
And I was gonna say, so High Rollers, Mark Holmes's show, is doing a Dragon Heist miniseries where they're playing through Dragon Heist. But he gave them the stipulation that everybody has to either fully or multi-class into Rogue. So everybody has to have a thing in Rogue. So that way you're actually doing like a heist film kind of a thing. And so very different builds across all the characters. So I think that gives some sort of interesting thematic element. And I think if you're going to do either like a Wuxia style or, maybe like a Bruce Lee style film as the basis of your game, or even Jackie Chan style film, Chuck Norris style film,
or just do Dragon Ball Z.
You could do Dragon Ball Z.
You gotta fight through all the bad guys.
Yes.
In the arc.
Yeah. Or you just do one arc where it's some ultra powerful random guy shows up and you have to defeat him, and it takes you all campaign to do one fight.
Exactly. Do the Cell games. Do the Cell games.
Yes. Yeah. Cell Saga.
Do Cell games.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. You fight all these other guys, but they weren't even the most powerful one.
And even then, you could do Cell Saga by just having all the androids be Warforged.
You could do a good one if I'm going to plug one of my favorite animes, Naruto. Actually, would be a good inspiration for that style campaign.
Yep.
Because there's like some mega powerful things, but it's not. It's more sandboxy, whereas like you could go in a lot of different directions, and there's always conflict somewhere where you go, and there's like if you just use that. Now, I'm not saying copy all the ninja in that. I'm just saying like there's different villages and areas, and they each kind of have their own specialty as far as what they do. And there's legendary ninja, and there's lower level ninja, and like. And
actually, one of the things that I wanted to touch on, so it's something that I spoke with a friend of mine from college with, trying to figure out some of the cultural stuff for Jemmora, is particularly with monks, because they're drawn from East Asian fantasy and some Southeast Asian fantasy, right? Is you also want to make sure that you don't fall into any traps of stereotyping. I think D&D does a fairly decent job of sort of divorcing sort of this sort of fantasy archetype from the real world cultural elements. But you kind of want to be careful, like that you don't, make a character and try and. It's one thing if you're intentionally trying to do, say, an accent, and earnestly try to do it correctly. It's another thing, like if you are doing, a vaudevillian style caricature of, another culture in order to play a character.
Nani?
Yeah.
Point.
So I would and one of the recommendations that I had after reading several blogs on how to write stuff like this is, or if you're a DM that wants to include sort of monks and temples and stuff in your game, is, maybe not necessarily base things off of real world cultures, but look at elements that you can include and think of logical things. So like there's this temple, like let's say it's a big mountain temple or whatever, like just logically think, what purpose does it serve in my world? And don't say like, oh, well, this is going to be an analogy for like the Shaolin temples. Just think about it as if like, hey, this is a temple, monks practice hand-to-hand combat. Maybe it was started by Warforged or Lizard folk or Tabaxi or something, like a race that has natural weaponry, and then it was adapted for other races that don't.
Well, I mean, I don't see the problem with saying like, I need a setting, I need a temple, that's whatever, that's a monk temple, and being inspired by a Shaolin temple.
Yeah, it's like, definitely be inspired by it.
Between being inspired and blatantly ripping off, I guess, is the.
I am curious as to what the line is on that, though, because
it is a fine line.
I don't see much at one.
It's tough. It's a tough line to determine as to where something falls between inspiration and not really appropriation, but just like like making a caricature of something.
Right.
Just do it with respect and do some research.
Because you need to use inspiration for a setting, because obviously that's not our culture, not where we're from. So if you're trying to make something immersive and you trying to give that feel, I mean, I would, and this is something I actually do quite often, is look for videos of that type of stuff, particularly. And I just watched one the other day that was inspiring me because I was doing some writing, and just it was a Japanese island actually in particular, and there was temples, and it was just. The cinematography of the video was really good, the guy who did it. But it was just nice to watch it and look and just visually see things, so that in my head I'm like, okay, how do I verbally describe this? Or if I'm writing, how do I describe something like this to make, if I have a reader, how do I make that reading a visual experience for them? So it's important, I think, to do things like that, to be inspired by pieces of media or imagery or whatever. Particularly, if the best way is obviously to go to that place and experience it yourself, but that's not really feasible for everybody. I've been lucky enough to like go to Osaka and Kyoto and walk through all the temples in Kyoto and see all that and experience that. So I have some of that, but that was a few years ago now. It's hard to hold that memory.
It's and really, and I think what you and I are getting at its core is,
I think you guys are getting exactly the
authenticity.
Yes.
And you just don't want to fall into the trap of, I read a Wikipedia. I read a Wikipedia article on this, and therefore I know enough to speak on something with some manner of authority and have it be authentic. Really dig into something. Like if you want to base something on a culture, really get into the nitty gritty, and appreciate and develop an appreciation for it, and try and make it authentic rather than just, here's the thing. I don't know if it's a great example because of just how sort of westernized it's become, but like ninjas, for example, this is a thing that like has become sort of appropriated in American culture because ninjas is portrayed in American culture, nothing like historical ninjas in Japan.
No.
So if you want to make something that's authentic and immersive, don't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and think, okay, I'm going to make a serious ninjutsu thing and base it on, I'm going to recreate the Ninja Turtles, or I'm going to base it on Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe.
Yeah. If you're doing like pulp fun, whatever.
No, if you're meaning for it to be like, no guys, we're going to run a Teenage Mutant Ninja style game.
That's different.
That's completely different.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's you're going off of more what the trope that the show has created and parodying that as opposed to, someone's religion.
Well, I also don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to say, "Oh, I think this thing is rad from another culture and I'd like to somehow put it in my game." Just because I think it's rad. I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, I'm not going to go around saying I'm an expert on this thing and this is what this is how it really is. But I see zero problem with saying, "Oh, I think a building like this would be cool in my game to use for a setting." I just want to.
I don't know if you necessarily fall into this because I know you will actually research it, right? But there are people that will do that. They'll take something and they'll put it in without any thought as to what context could be made.
I mean, if I'm giving a description of something, I'm not going to make it integral to the story unless I have thought it through.
Yeah.
But if like, I just want a cool place for this encounter to happen, and I think this would be a cool thing to describe. And I saw this cool looking church in Slovenia. I don't know, that I like the architecture of. I want to kind of mimic that because I think it would be cool and it might give some interesting elements to the encounter.
Yeah.
I'm just going to drop that in for my setting. I'm not going to say, and this is what it is, and these people are from here, and this is, it was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, look at this cool place I put in.
But, it's just, so I mean, we could go round and round and round on this.
Yes.
It's just, when you're introducing stuff to make monks fit into a setting, there are a lot of ways to do it right, and there are a lot of ways to do it wrong. And even look at Wizards of the Coast has often done it the wrong way, with things like Oriental Adventures, which is often touted as
that
like
just hurts to hear.
Really, really, falling flat on how to do things correctly.
That hurts
to
hear.
Yes, and I mean they even reprinted it in 3rd edition, so it made it all the way up to like mid 2000s.
Oh my god.
Yeah. A lot of these decisions were made by Wizards, and they were like campaign modules and stuff that came out in the 80s, so that probably informs what the thought process was behind it then. But yeah, so just be smart, do research, And yeah. And
don't be afraid to try things. Don't let that scare you don't let
yeah,
that,
and that's the other thing, right? Is and in the articles that I read, it was like don't let the fear of, you know, and even if you get it wrong, right? Don't let the fear of getting it wrong stop you. Just if you fall short, you know, and somebody says like, hey, this is actually problematic, you know, just say, okay, how can I revise it to make it better? Because that's in the end what everybody wants is better stuff. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah, just keep that in mind. And, you know, it may not even apply to your game, right? You know, if you're going just full on fantasy, like we are with Jemmora, where I'm actually trying to like divorce a lot of elements from real world cultures, and just do more themes and ideas, you know, it might not necessarily be a problem. So, as a quick note, after that, D&D Beyond character sheets have updated to include creature feature, is what they called it. So there's now a creatures tab on the character sheet that allows you to include stats for wild shape, companions, familiars, pets, horses, mounts, all that good stuff.
Cool. So May can get. Wait. So does this mean that May could technically give Ferris his own sheet? With his stats of 1.
Well, it would just be, so the way it works is you just import an NPC or monster template in there. And then what it does is it just displays like the name, a little icon, armor class, hit points, and then like, I think like a hide option. But yeah, so it basically shows you armor class and hit points because those are the things you typically need to know. Yeah. But then if you like click on it, it will then open up that description so that you can quick check the stats. So, druids, rangers, works out really well. Casters with familiars works out really well. So yeah, it's a big deal for me because I play ranger, so I was excited. But yeah, so that is live right now on the character sheets.
It's great because I've looked at druids and thought about doing a character, and I've got one in the back of my head of how I would do her character design, and and I would really have fun making that. And it's got to be a lot easier to keep your animals in check.
Yeah. So, Courtney, for example, for your little mouse, is what you would do is you just like add, you'd click like add creature, and then you would click pet because it's not a ranger companion, it's not a wild shape or whatever, and then you would just go find rat, and you would just type in rat, search it, and it'll give you the option to add. And then if you click on it, you're able to change the name. So you could put like Ferris, and you're good to go. And then you have little stats for Ferris, which is probably just like 1 hit point, armor class.
I was gonna say he has the hit points of a kitten.
Yeah,
because there's no littler.
Yeah, so yeah,
I'm gonna add that right now.
Yeah. And with that, folks, that is, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Something happened, and let's try this again with our music. There we go. Yeah, for whatever reason, the show went on so long and iTunes wasn't selected that it decided to just freak out and started playing Pokemon music. You don't want that, because I don't want to get sued or muted.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Thank you for joining us on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast tonight. We hope you've enjoyed your time here. If you want to see more content that is produced by 8-Bit Adventures, you can head on over to www.8-bitadventures.com. Over there you can find all the links to the various streams and shows that we produce, including Tales of Jemmora, as well as the 8-Bit Adventures comic, and all sorts of artwork in my portfolio. You can also find all of our social media links there, so go ahead, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. If you want to support that content and get to view Tales of Jemmora early, as well as the comics early, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. There's no hyphen in that one. Our opening and closing theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, folks, we're going to say have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody.